I play a guitar, I play it from my heart and soul. I play my own music.
Baby, please don't go. My baby, please don't go. My baby, please don't go down to New Orleans. You know I love you so. My baby, please don't go. Now throw your man outdoors. Now throw your man outdoors. Now throw your man outdoors down to New Orleans. You know I love you so. Don't you call my name. Don't you call my name. Now don't you call my name down in New Orleans. I got my shackles on. Now baby, please don't go. Baby, please don't go. Baby, please don't go. Baby, please don't go down to New Orleans. You know I love you so. Now, baby, please don't go. Lightnin Hopkins was a famous Texas bluesman. I always think of him as being Mr. Cool because his style was slick and cool. He could hold an audience, he could tell a story, and his guitar style was very, very attractive, very, very bluesy. He would use his thumb on the basses, often very simply, damping with his right hand. Sometimes he would make it into a heartbeat, often hitting two strings at the same time. Sometimes letting them ring and then damping again. His style was to create a simple structure but make it interesting and give it a nice bluesy feel. We're going to look at a piece of music, a song that Lightnin made famous called Baby Please Don't Go. It's quite a fast-paced blues, not too slow. A couple of things to say before we start. You can see that I've got my capo on the 2nd fret. This is my habit. It suits my voice and also makes the fingering a little easier. Now when Lightnin played, he had a low Texas drawl. Often he wouldn't use the capo, and often he would choose the guitar 2 frets low, so it gave it a really low feel. Often it feels as though the guitar is out of tune, but of course it doesn't really matter with Lightnin. If a note's slightly out of tune, then he'll bend it a little bit. Another quirky thing that Lightnin Hopkins did was on the A chord, instead of just playing the long A chord and holding the 6th string down, he'd hold both the last strings down. gave it an even nicer feel. Now I've split the lesson up into 2 or 3 parts. Basically the introduction is the same as the verse, and then we introduce a break, and then right at the end I add a few variations for the end tag to turn around, and a very interesting break that Lightnin played where he alternated his thumb and his fingers in a syncopated way. We'll look at this later on. Let's take a look at the chords we're going to use to play Baby, Please Don't Go. It's a piece in E. We have our basic E chord, E7 chord. We use a standard A7. We use a bar for the A7 chord. A standard B7 chord, and sometimes we'll move this finger across to the first string to make this shape. Now during the rundown we'll move down from this chord to this chord to this chord and finish on E. And then finish the turnaround on B7. So we start the verse in this way, on the 5th string, on the 2nd fret, and then we slide up to the 5th fret. Now in actual fact Lightnin used to play this, but I make that into a hammer-on. Now notice there's a few more things happening here. At the same time, as I move on to the 6th string, I give it a little bit of a bend, not much, just in passing, like that. And then when I move to the 5th fret, I give it some vibrato, so that when I move down to the bass string on the G, and then A, and back to the E, it's a bit of a contrast. You've got the high strings with the vibrato, a little bit of a bend, and then the bass strings. It's like an answer. showing the tablature that we hit, for example, when we come back from the G and the A. I show just one bass note hit. If you brush your thumb across two of them and then damp, it provides a nice effect. Now, in between some of the verses, Lightnin Hopkins used to vamp. What I mean by this is that he just moves around on the A chord to give himself time, maybe to think about the next verse or just to provide an effect. Now, it doesn't matter how many bars that you vamp for. One of Lightnin Hopkins' famous phrases is lightning changes chord when lightning wants to, which was a bit difficult for musicians playing with him, but that's how it was. Sometimes after the verse he plays this, he vamps. Sometimes he makes it into a bit of a show by playing it like this. So you can play this while you're thinking about the next verse or until you're tired of it. After this part where he vamps on the E chord, he then moves into a little break section starts on the A7, which is interesting because it's syncopated between the thumb beats and the finger beats. They don't act together. It sounds like this. So from the E vamp, he moves up on the first string, from the third to the fourth fret. The version of this break that I've written down in tablature is more simpler than Lightnin actually played. He played something like this. But you can listen to the original recordings and listen to these little changes, these little variations, and try and incorporate them once you've mastered the simplified version. Now for the turnaround and the end tag for these verses, you could use a different variation for the end of every verse. It makes it more interesting for people listening to it. For example, one variation, you could do this. So you could strum this run down. Or you could do this. Or you could do something on the high strings before you go back to E to finish in this way. Now mostly when I sing Baby Please Don't Go, after the turnaround, before starting the next verse, I'll just stop playing completely, in this way. Now baby please don't go, now baby please don't go, now baby please don't go down to New Orleans, I know I love you so. Baby please don't go. It's entirely up to you. You can either keep playing or stop playing to provide that little bit of guitar silence to make it sound so good when the guitar joins the voice. Now put your mind